On my kicker tonight, the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Professor Njuguna Ndungu, recently advised Kenyans to prepare themselves for tough times. In late last year, through Circular Number 11 of 2022, the Treasury CS directed ministries, departments, and government agencies, MDAs, to cut down on spending as part of austerity measures aimed at saving some 300 billion shillings out of the current 2022-2023 national budget. The CS even went on to specify the areas where spending should be cut. Paragraph 9 of the circular listed travel, seminars, consultancies, legal expenses, overtime payouts as some of the costs state corporations must scale down to the bare minimum. Paragraph 14 of the circular guided state corporations on controlling expenditure with a reminder on the approval process that should involve the National Treasury and a warning to chief officers that they would be held personally liable for any irregular expenditure. Treasury has followed the November circular with reminders by the CS that tough times lie ahead. Now, implications of cuts proposed by the circular in November would have meant that foreign travel by government officials would be minimized, as would be government events and conferences in hotels. But as a common parlance in Kenya goes, vitu kwa ground ni tofauti. Not long ago, and not long after the circular, the entire cabinet trooped to a 5-star hotel on the slopes of Mount Kenya for a retreat. This notwithstanding the fact that government has a choice of conferencing facilities that include the modern Kenya School of Government, KSG, right here in Nairobi, the seat and capital of Kenya. The retreat made for bad optics for a government that wanted to cut spending to the tune of 300 billion shillings. Talk of austerity in Kenya is not new. Every episode of economic hardship has always been greeted by that promise of cutting government wastage. But the reality is, it never quite happens, especially in the higher ranks of government. While lower ranks can actually lose small benefits like newspapers, bottled water, or even tea and snacks, there is little evidence that things at the higher ranks ever change. When former President Uhuru Kenyatta was Treasury Minister, for example, he introduced measures to cut down on fuel guzzlers by introducing the fuel-efficient Passat Volkswagen saloon car as the new means of transport for ministers. The Passat is today a symbol of a failed promise, reduced to something of a ceremonial car used during presentation of the budget speech at Parliament. As an austerity measure, the saloon car option failed flat as government officials quickly restored top-of-the-range fuel-guzzling SUVs to the road. And as if to mock austerity measures, Treasury this week indicated that it had increased the Office of the President budget from 5.8 billion shillings to 13.8 billion shillings, a sharp hike of the budget by nearly 60%. Whatever the justification for this increment in the middle of tough times, in the government's own words, the message is clear. Austerity measures remain more talk than action. And in another confounding step, the Public Service Commission has shortlisted some 240 Kenyans for the contentious position of Chief Administrative Secretary, CAS. Now, there are many unknowns about the position of CAS, from its legality to its role. There are 1,001 questions about the position of CAS. But one thing is assured, the position of CAS costs money, and not small money. The appointee will work straight against the spirit of that Treasury Circular Number 11 of 2022 that rationalizes spending by reducing or eliminating non-core spending. Other than one more top-level appointee at each ministry, at the minimum, or even department, there are additional costs attached to the position of CAS. This includes procurement of new additional cars and may even include a chase car, deployment of extra security personnel, office space and staff, among others. At this rate, austerity will remain just about talk and less about the work Kenya desperately needs right now. That is my kicker.